All right, here we are during the 2024 municipal election. I don't know about you, but when I look at this 2024 municipal election, I got grave concerns. I'm not too knocked out. I'm not interested in any of the candidates that are running for mayorally or for our district, District 2, with the list of candidates running for council. We already know what the turnout's going to be because David Hansby only needs a little bit of the numbers to get reelected in the first place. And it makes you wonder, if that's the case, why are we even bothering with these elections in the first place? Because we already know the turnout. You know, that when I looked at Halifax Regional Council through over the years, you know what I noticed? They were incompetent. We've been electing incompetent people, not only to Halifax Regional Council, but to Ottawa in Parliament Hill to form the government of Canada, and we've been sending incompetent people to run the province of Nova Scotia. Did you not ever notice that? How real simple decision-making decisions are very hard for these people who we elected to represent us. Did you not ever notice that? And because of it, now we're paying the price for it. You know, during this past month, I addressed the affordable housing pallet shelters that are in Woodside, just off Atlantic Street, according to this report I got from email through Max, who's the director of Housing and Homelessness for the city of Halifax. And did you not ever notice how we'd be seeing Halifax Regional Council addressing a topic that's in the jurisdiction of the province of Nova Scotia, including the government of Canada? Did you not ever notice that? Why is our Halifax Regional Council doing the job that's under the jurisdiction of the province and the federal government of Canada? Did you not ever notice that? And did you not ever notice how Tim Houston, and he's Minister of Community Service and the Minister of Housing, was doing absolutely everything humanly possible not to address affordable housing? And did you not ever notice how they've been trying to tell people that affordable housing is not in crisis when it clearly is? When you look at our Halifax region, when you look at the province of Nova Scotia, it's embarrassing to admit that our province and our Halifax region is a third world country. And that's exactly what it is. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I asked a question about the affordable housing pallets in Halifax. The clerk's office at Halifax Regional Council said, "Oh, Adam, we find your emails a little disturbing because you're asking questions, you know, it's a little hard to swallow, you know." I don't understand what the questions what we ask here is so hard to understand how that can be uncomfortable. Here it is. Here's the first question that we asked. How much money of the taxpayers' money are being used to construct these shelters? That's question one. Question two is, are Halifax Regional Council going to reimburse the taxpayers on these shelters? And if not, why not? What's so disturbing about this? Third question, why is there no rental fee on these pallet shelters of at least $220 a month to reimburse to the taxpayer? What's so disturbing about it? Because why I asked that question, why is there no rental fee on these pallet shelters of at least $200 a month to reimburse the taxpayer? Because if a person's involved in the affordable housing program, their rental fees based on their income. And it usually is $220 a month, depending on their income. Everybody who's on community services, federal pensions, or a regular pension from work, whatever, all has a source of income. So there's no reason why the province or Halifax Regional Council should be allowing these people to access these shelters for free. It's not rocket science, because everybody who's accessing these pallet shelters has an income. Well, they should have an income at least. But there's always a loophole for them not to have it. I'm not saying that they don't. And the fourth question, if a pallet shelter is vandalized, who's paying for it besides the taxpayer? Ain't that funny how they find that disturbing? There's nothing disturbing about it. Do you know what this is called? Protecting the taxpayer. Protecting the way how your money's being invested in. You like to know how your money's being invested. There's a good question. Who's paying for these pallets if your pallet, the taxpayer you're paying to have these pallet shelters constructed, are being vandalized. What's so disturbing about it? Because you, the people at home, it's not a privilege for you to know. It's your right to know. Ain't that funny how Halifax Regional Council and David Hansby says this is mighty disturbing for to ask these questions to Halifax Regional Council. This is your right to know. All right, number 5. Who owns these pallet shelters? The city of Halifax or the province of Nova Scotia or the government of Canada? Either way, or what government who pays for these, the taxpayers on the hook. That's right. It doesn't matter if it's the municipal government, if it's the provincial government, or if it's the federal government. One way or the other, you, the taxpayers, are paying for it. Ain't that funny, you know, how they don't want to ask that question? It's pretty straightforward. Pretty that's the average question what you would ask. Wouldn't it be, you know? All right, now the 6th question. Question number 6. Is the food bank and the Red Cross on these shelter sites to help these people besides the taxpayer paying for everything? And where are we at? All right. And is there not, why is there no, or is there corporate sponsors to help pay for these shelters? To pay for the food bank, or the food bank there on these sites giving these people food? Is the Red Cross here giving them the access to the food that they need, the health care that they need, the clothing that they need, stuff like that? You know what I mean? This is pretty interesting questions that we're asking. But Halifax Regional Council said this is mighty offensive. So let's go to question number 7. I asked 11 questions in total, and Halifax Regional Council at the clerk's office said, Ed, we're mighty disturbed with this email here that we asked right here. Here we are. Question number 6. Number 7, I should say. Has Halifax Regional Council of the province... No, that's not... Here we go. Has the payment for insurance ever been disclosed to help pay for these or any of these affordable housing pallet shelters in the direction of the people who need them? Ain't that funny? Is there not any insurance or any option to explore for insurance as some fools to come by and decide we're going to smash these shelters? That's another question. But again, Halifax Regional, we're disturbed by that, Adam. Question number 8. This is the mental health side. Are there any patients from any mental health hospital, such as the Abbey Lang Building in Halifax, the East Coast Forensic Hospital in Burnside, accessing these shelter pallets because these people already has a place to turn to for housing at the Abbey Lang Building in the East Coast Forensic Hospital, which means they should not be on the street if they're a patient at either the East Coast Forensic Hospital or the Abbey Lang Building. They have a housing location to turn to already. And not only that, and I'm saying if they are there, to the best of the Halifax Regional Council's knowledge, or the province of Nova Scotia should be doing this job, including the federal government of Canada, to the best of their knowledge, is there any of these mentally ill patients accessing these housing pallet shelters when they already have access to housing at the East Coast Forensic Hospital in Burnside or at the Abbey Lane Building in Dartmouth? So the question is, to the best of your knowledge, are they there? And if they are there, why are they there? Because if they're there, we can take those people out of those housing pallets, relocate them where they live already at the East Coast Forensic Hospital or the Abbey Lane Building in Halifax, so they're not taking up space from the people who could use these pallet shelters. It's not rocket science, it's common sense. But I guess when you're Mayor Mike Savage, when you're as ignorant as Halifax Regional Council at the clerk's office, I suppose this is hard to get through the hedges when really it's only common sense for things to work out here. So here we go. Let's go on to question number 8. Number 9, I should say. Is there anyone accessing these pallet shelters who has no income at all? The reason why I ask, is there anybody accessing these pallet shelters who has no income at all? Because the reason why I'm saying that, because majority of the time, a person has a source of income one way or the other. If it's the community service, welfare, income assistance, whatever you want to call it, Canada Pension Disability, a federal pension, a pension from work they might have retired from. But there are some people who fall through the cracks where they haven't worked their whole lives because they had a mental health disability or whatever the case may be. They may be in a wheelchair, no access to do anything. They may not even have access to arms or legs. No, you got to be considerate of this stuff. And when I asked, is there any of those people who has no income at all accessing these shelters? Again, Halifax Regional Council is mighty disturbed by that question. All right, go to, you can see 9. Question 10. Are there any seniors in poor health accessing these shelters? What's so bloody offensive about asking a question like that? That's only common sense, because you want to get these seniors out of these locations so they can be put into a seniors complex or with family where they can belong, where they can live, so they're not so much at risk. And our last question, question 11. Should people who pose a risk to others around them who need access to these pallet shelters be permitted to access these shelters, such as their risk levels, such as they're addicted to alcoholism, drugs? What else is there? To cause verbal disturbances, they create unwelcoming, uncomfortable situations around others because they're crazy or they're mentally ill or whatever the case may be. This here had been an issue for years in the affordable housing program for years, such as in North End, Dartmouth, Godigan Street in Halifax, Spryfield. These people are everywhere. How do we keep these idiots away from our affordable housing program so we can make it safe, affordable housing for everybody to raise their kids, retire, enjoy their lives, and like a senior, enjoy your golden years while you're still here before you pass on, go back to the other side where we all go back home once again. And I fail to understand what's so offensive about this. Now, the email here, now Max responded back and he had stated, these pallet shelters are targeting seniors at the age of 50 and up. So it's not open to the average person. All right, that makes more sense. See how he responded to me? This wasn't so offensive. See how I failed to understand the Halifax Regional Council sees this offensive? And, I got to say something right now. This is going to be the hot topic during the entire 2024 municipal election. And I got to say something right now. The candidates running for mayor, I'm not interested in any of this. If I vote for mayor, I'm going to vote for David Boyd. Why do I say that? We had Peter Kelly as mayor. Rich. He brought all these buddies into the city hall. All these conservative buddies, all these Tory buddies, bring them all in. He didn't do anything. Peter Kelly went down in history as a crook. He got a job out in Alberta, as was at the county of Westlaw County, as the CAO. He stole I don't know how many thousands of dollars from that county. If that was you and I, you're going to jail for the next 25, 30 years of our lives. But yet it's okay for Peter Kelly to do that. See what's wrong here? And then Mike Savage gets elected as mayor. What's wrong with Mike Savage? A millionaire getting elected to represent the region of Halifax. How is Mike Savage mentally capable of addressing poverty, affordable housing, when he never even faced it? He never even encountered it. The man's a millionaire. How does a millionaire address that? He can't. He's just not mentally capable. And then when Mike Savage got in office, what happened? He brought his girlfriend, Cheryl Stewart, in. He brought his boyfriend there from Josh Braggs there. Who Justin Trudeau called him up to Ottawa. We got an office assistant job for here in Ottawa with the government of Canada. So suddenly Mike Savage is going to say, I'm not going to reoffer in the 2024 municipal election. I did enough for our region, he says. Do you know why he said that? Because Justin Trudeau has him a job in the Senate. That's why he said that. And he actually admitted, I like to go before my numbers are down. I don't like to go in a defeat. I don't care what you do, Mike. I really don't. I didn't find you were a great mayor anyways. You didn't do much of anything. When I seen Halifax Regional Council, I seen a lot of incompetence taking place. How? Here's a question I'll ask you, Mike. Why would you call the police and remove those pallet shelters off city property just after when the municipal election ended. When was it? 2016? Remember that? The Halifax police went in there and they smashed everybody's pallets. Gary Burrow, leader of the NDP, standing in disgrace, couldn't get over what he's seen. Do you know why they did that? Because tourism season was about to begin, and Halifax Regional Council, including you, David Hensby, you did not want the tourists to see and witness the reality of Halifax, a housing crisis, all-time record-breaking number of homelessness in Halifax, including Nova Scotia. It's more noticed in downtown Halifax because it's a city. Now the question is, how many of these homeless people are living in rural communities, such as the Eastern Shore, spread out through Nova Scotia, Truro, and all this stuff? How many of those people are living in the woods? Because you know what that means if they're living in the woods? They got to eat. They're going to cook something. So in the summer when they cook something, if something catches a fire, guess what? You got a forest fire on your hands. And guess what? The province of Nova Scotia doesn't have a proper infrastructure to battle a forest fire. Did you not ever notice that over the years? They got no water bomber. If they turn for a water bomber, what do? They'll pick up the phone to call New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs. Well, we'll send a water bomber down because the government of Nova Scotia is too bloody stupid to invest their money in one. They can't even properly combat a forest fire. And then top it off, it's getting even better. The province of Nova Scotia, instead of banning forest fires year-round that will put your livelihoods at risk, they'll make it so confusing for people who want to burn debris. They'll burn debris, not because they do it on purpose, because you honestly don't know if they're allowed to burn or not. So when they're guessing if they can burn, the fire crews, he finds them, he gives them a fine, $20,000 fine now, or $25,000 fine, I should say now. You're getting a fine. How's that justification? How's that? That's not. Do you know why they're making the forest fire regulations confusing? You go check on the internet if you're allowed to burn or not repeatedly. Is because they want to make it confusing so they can get you on a fine. So the province is making money. They're here all about making money. When the rightful answer is they should be banning open air fires all summer long, right from the month of March, right to the end of October, at least October. But they don't do that because they're focused on making money. But what they should be doing to people who are caught burning fires deliberately, a $25,000 fine, which I agree to, but it should be at least a 2 to 3 year prison sentence. Send them away. They got a house, auction their house off, pay for the fines, pay for the services that they had to come out and help people out and all that fun stuff. But that's what should be done. But here we are talking about Halifax Regional Council. You know, I mentioned not that long ago about public transit on the eastern shore of HRM, of the Halifax region. I said, do you know why that their two bus services, the public transit service, are struggling in numbers? Because they're too proud to get on the bus because their friends might see them. And why I say that? Did you not ever see their body language when some of them were trying to get on the bus? And do you know also why I say that? When you look at the community of the Eastern Shore, what do you see? You see two things. Rich, it's a rich community, very rich, and it's a middle-class community. Lo and behold, they're being reduced to the option that they have to take a public transit bus to get to and from work. Oh my God, their friends, what? Oh my God, what reality? You got to take the bus. They're coming up with every excuse not to take the public transit bus. They're all saying, well, the hours of operation is not good. It doesn't, it takes too long to get to work. I just want to get home, and they said, no, the traffic jams are stuck in the traffic on the bus. I just want to get out of there. Enough with the excuses. What's wrong is the people of the Eastern Shore are too damn right proud to access their public transit. And isn't that funny? During their community meetings, like in January when the city of Halifax brought a proposal to have sidewalks installed in front of the Porter's Lake Shopping Plaza, believe it or not, and then increase people's tax rate. They only did that just so they can put the community of Porter's Lake into a higher tax bracket. That's all it was. Wasn't it funny how the option of, all right, if we're putting it in front of the shopping plaza, well, let Loblaws, Tim Hortons, and the plaza pay for it instead of the people. Why not have it like Sheet Harbor? Let this corporate sponsor pay for it instead of the taxpayer. Isn't that funny how they never don't want to go there? But I'm going to tell you something right now. For the people who want to access the public transit, you got to get on the goddamn bus. There's no questions about it. Why are you not getting on the bus? Because you're coming up with every excuse not to get on. They mentioned that the hours of operation are not the best. Now, here's the thing. They got a Halifax Metro X rapid transit service, bus number 370 that starts from the Porters Lake Park and Ride on Inspiration Way in Porters Lake, and it runs right to downtown Dartmouth, right into the Dartmouth Sports, the bridge terminal, right across the street from the Dartmouth Sportsplex. They call it the Zatman Sports Center now. They got the name all screwed up now. And then it goes right over to Halifax, and it ends its route in front of Scotia Square on Duke Street. And it got good hours of operation. I believe the first bus leaves at 5:47 in the morning. Then they got another bus at 6 o'clock in the morning, another bus at 6:30 in the morning, another bus at 7:20 in the morning, and the final bus in the morning at 5:55 leaving Porters Lake. So when you go home, they got a bus leaving the Halifax Scotia Square at, 1:45 p.m.? It got good hours of operation. There's no excuse for people not to use it. They come up with every excuse not to use it. And now for the 401, do you know what the average passenger requirements is for a transit bus to be passable in the community? 14 passengers per trip. Do you know what the 401 bus service gets that serves the community of East Preston, Lake Echo, and Porters Lake is? 12 to 11 passengers per trip, at best. It's 14 passengers for it to be passing. So the 401 is doing okay, but it's just under the margin, just a smudge. But either way, if you do not take these buses, these community essentials, that is essential to the community, you're going to lose the privilege of using a service that's open to you. So when you lose it, now they're hollering and screaming that you ain't got it. David Hinsby, or whoever the councillor may be, come at the end of this October 2024 municipal election, cannot help you with services if you're not going to access it. Now, I'll admit, David Hinsby, if it was for him, we would have nothing. Because one of my main concerns with the people of the Eastern Shore is the people who they've been electing. Majority of the people of the Eastern Shore who have been elected should never have been elected in the first place. Bill Dukes, Keith Caldwell, what's his name there? Kent Smith. What's wrong with these people? See, the concern is the Eastern Shore only elected two people that was half decent. Peter Stauffer and David Hinsby. And that's it. And I said it before, if it wasn't for David Hinsby at the municipal level, the Eastern Shore would have nothing. Because they're so ignorant, it's so beyond, it's mind-boggling. Why do these people elect people who are doing no good? They're just people. See, when I see the municipal election, this is what I see. People are not running for the community, for the better of the community. They're running for two things: the wealthy pension and the popularity. They're running for the fame. They're running for the spotlight. They got no sense of direction of what they're doing for the community or anything at all for the community but themselves. And that's the only thing what they're running for. The wealthy pension, so they can access that wealthy pension, and the spotlight. What good is that to the community if you got no actual virtual plan for your election when you're running? Now, first I understand, for District 2, it's only David Hinsby and this Will Gilligan, or what the hell you call him there, running for council. Does Will Gilligan, or whatever you want to call him there, have a game plan besides just running for the fame? Stop and ask that question to yourselves, and go and ask him that. I guarantee you he's going to be tripping and stumbling. He's going to take a couple of minutes to figure out what to say. But it takes a few minutes what to say, hang the phone up, and that's the end of it. Me, I'm in danger of not voting at all because I'm not voting for a roster of candidates what I see. What the people of Halifax region should be doing, in my opinion, storming Halifax Regional Council, storming City Hall, and demanding a re-election, the entire re-election, start all over again, get rid of this crap of candidates, and demand and look for better people to be running for council. Because when you look at the mayoralty race, it's the prime example I just said. People just running for the fame, the spotlight, and the wealthy pension. You look at them, they don't even look mayorally worthy. They don't even look professional. You don't even take them seriously. Did you not notice that? You look at the candidates, do you take any of them seriously? I looked at, what's his name there? Andy Fillmore. He's receiving a ton of backlash already and he's just campaigning. You know, during of his campaign ads when he was a member of parliament, he went to the airport for a few refugees, bought some stuff. I went and bought some stuff here for these people. He never bought nothing. Your taxpayers pay for the stuff he bought for those refugees. Andy Fillmore bought nothing. The only thing he bought was out of your tax dollar, which is your money, he bought for those people. And you know what the other crazy thing is, Andy Fillmore, if you're watching? You're still at the federal level till you run for mayor, if you get elected as mayor, I should say. Here's Canada, here's Halifax. We can't even house our people, let alone look after them. But yet you're going to bring a bunch of refugees, and including your Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who's going to let a bunch of illegal asylum seekers cross the Canada-U.S. border, illegally, mind you, and you're going to let them come here, and you're going to pay for their housing. But yet you can't even look after our own people. What's wrong with that picture? This is why I'm in very danger of not voting. So I'm not voting for this crap. I'm voting for our own community. I'm voting for our own people. Let's not put these illegal asylum seekers in these Halifax jobs, like Halifax Transfer, where you already see them now, mind you. Don't give them these jobs. Give the jobs to the people who live here. Give it to the jobs who are looking for people who live here. And there's these people there crossing the Canada-U.S. border illegally. Now, I'm not a very big Tim Houston supporter, but I got to tell you right now, I actually sided with him, and he's saying no to these asylum seekers. Send them back to Justin Trudeau. Don't bring them to Nova Scotia. Keep them out, and let's look after our people of Halifax and our province of Nova Scotia. Justin Trudeau, I think he could go this fall election if it's called. Pierre Poilievre could put him out. But even Pierre Poilievre, I got grave concerns because I don't think he's going to be the great hero what he says he is. I got concerns of him. If he does, all the power to him. I take my hat off to him if he can prove that, which I doubt it. Because here's the thing. All I seen with Pierre Poilievre was I was an arrogant person. Justin Trudeau, in my opinion, did a fine job of looking after Canadians during the pandemic, getting that vaccine out. And then we had that big battle where people don't want to get their vaccinations. And then you had the truckers there. Well, we're demanding to get rid of these restrictions. I don't care what the truckers said. I don't care what Pierre Poilievre says in this topic right here with the vaccinations, getting them out to people rejecting them, not wanting to have them. Justin Trudeau did a fine job on this area, and I take my hat off to it. So I don't care where you guys sit on this, but I'm saying I back up Justin Trudeau on this topic right here. But with municipal politics, I got to tell you right now, I got a grave concern in the direction Halifax is going down. People are running for office, not for the community, but for their own fame, their own spotlight. Not one mayorally candidate besides Andy Fillmore and a few others look mayorally worthy. You don't even take them seriously. If they can't dress properly, if they can't present themselves properly, city council, the clerk's office, whoever's in charge should terminate and abolish their candidacy, get them out of there, because look at the sight of it, you know. People like me, do you know what I got more interest in? The 2024 presidential election. My buddy Donald Trump. I believe Trump could pull this off with Kamala Harris. I really believe that, no, he can beat her. I had a tweet from Donald Trump on my Twitter account and on my Instagram account. And I told Donald Trump, do you know what the United States of America, including Canada, needs to battle? Sexism. Because did you ever not notice how you see these group of people, I ain't going to say men or the gender or the women, those genders, but I'm going to say, do you not ever see these group of people, mostly women, are saying, oh, we're facing sexism and all this stuff? More men face sexism than women. Women voice it more than men. because those are the group of people that people listen to the most. But yet men face sexism more than women. You ever notice that? And I have grave concerns about that. So I got to say is, I have grave concerns with our clerk's office at City Hall, how they found those questions that I asked here earlier, disturbing, the addressing Halifax Regional, right there, how's this offensive? I mean, we literally went over the questions that I asked here, quite truthful and honestly, nothing offensive, but they find it disturbing. Is it disturbing because the reality is put in front of their faces and their corruption is exposed? That could be it. And I had mentioned, isn't it funny when you look at the Nova Scotia justice system, including the Halifax Police, who is the worst police agency in the history of Canada, who should be abolished, by the way, not kept into effect, but abolished. Did you ever not notice when you looked at the Halifax Police and the people who work within the courts, you got the judges, you got some prosecution, you got the lawyers, you got the jury. They're married to police officers. They're married to the judges. They're married to somebody within the justice system. And you know what I said to the clerk's office? I said, isn't that funny? Because when you see that happening, that makes room for conflict and corruption within the system. Anybody who works within the police agencies, anybody who works within the courts at any level, at any job title, should not be married to anybody within the police, the courts, because that makes room. You know what I mean? It raises concern. And when you look at, here's a good one. I'll talk about a judge right here. Pam Williams, former mental health judge in Dartmouth. Married to he's retired now, a Halifax police officer. So if, let's say her husband was a still active police officer. Let's say he charged somebody, and suddenly Pam Williams becomes the judge. How is that justification? I see corruption. I see conflict. I see pollution, toxic, everything that you can find wrong with that picture. And you look at that, the chief of police. I asked him, what did the chief of police ever do for the community before becoming the chief of police? Or is he just running for a wealthy pension and for a spotlight, like I said before? That's all they do. Or better yet, like I told the clerk's office, is this Halifax police officer, what's his name? Don McLean, is that his name? If I pronounce his name right. Does he not have any history of series of complaints from the community? Because there's a lot of police officers with the Halifax Police that has a lot of complaints from the community. And when you look at the Halifax Police Public Complaints Commission, when the public standards, what the hell you want to call them, when they handle complaints, they're there protecting the police officer. They're not listening to the people. They're protecting the police officer. So how's that addressing justification if they're only there protecting the police officer? So the general public has no voice of being heard unless you got thousands and millions of dollars for a lawyer that will sue the city. Isn't that something? So the taxpayers are on hook once again. So again, this municipal election, I got to say, is I have grave concerns with the list of candidates who are running, and I have a grave concerns in the direction of Halifax Regional Council, including the clerk's office, in the direction that they're going. So this municipal election, don't be surprised that you don't see me voting.